Hey everybody, May 31st, and we got our first rain shower in what seems like a month and a half today. And the garden is really progressing. I have been picking tomatoes off and on for the past 2 weeks, just one at a time, but I now have a deluge of tomatoes that are about ready to be picked. And I've found you never want to let a tomato vine ripen 100% on the vine. You want to get it about 80% of the way, otherwise they become a magnet for bugs. So I was going to come through here and do a harvest of all my ripe tomatoes, but I figured I'd take you along for the ride. So this is just going to be a harvesting video where I go through these varieties and I show you everything that I'm looking at. And this bed of tomatoes right here, I planted these in the middle of March, and it was not quite after my last chance of frost yet, so I was covering them up with 5-gallon buckets to get a head start. These are Brandy Boys. These are one of my favorite tomatoes, probably my favorite tomatoes, because they ripen early, they're huge, they're resistant to splitting, they set in the heat pretty well, and I've been growing them for years, and they've been my best performing tomato, and I'm going to show you these. If you go through my old videos, you'll be able to see these tomatoes in my garden last year. They're a great performer. That's probably about a 12 to 16 ounce tomato, and these are a hybridized version of the Brandywine Sudduth. It's an F1 hybrid from Burpee, so it's a patent trade secret as to what it's crossed with, but it is fantastic. And I have another big guy right here. This one's even better. This one's even bigger. It's at least a 1-pounder. You can see how nice looking it is. And then on this side, we will also harvest these guys right here. Or, well, these can go a little bit longer. They're not quite where I want them to be. This one in the back is definitely where I want it to be. You can see how big of a monster that is. That's a great looking tomato right there. Again, that's a Brandy Boy. And this one right here, I'm comfortable with picking this one as well. So that's another probably 12 or 14 ounce monster right there. So you can see just from that one plant, look at the size of these versus my hand. But we have many, many more where that came from. This right here is a Brandywine Yellow. And I've never grown a yellow tomato before. I don't even know if I like them that much because I've only had them at the grocery store and they're not very good in my opinion. But this is a fresh homegrown tomato. It is very large. It's probably another 1-pound tomato, pretty darn close. This is very uniform for an heirloom. I'm very happy with that. Very nice looking. There is another one right behind it, but it still looks a little green. I think we're going to give that another day or two. The true black Brandywines, I have a couple that have started to blush, but clearly these take a little bit longer than the other varieties. This I am super, super, super excited for. These are the Brandywine Sudduths, which are notoriously difficult to grow. And this is what the Brandy Boy is based off of. Now, I'm a little concerned because I don't want to mix this up with my Brandy Boy. Here you can see the Brandywine Sudduth, and I'll put that next to a Brandy Boy, just so you can see how similar. Brandy Boy on the left, Brandywine Sudduth on the right. You can see how close they are. So I'm going to have to get some kind of marker to mark all of these because I don't want to forget what is what. So I'm going to go get a washable marker. And over here we have a few more Brandywine Sudduths. Ooh, these are pretty close to being ready. I think I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to want the one on the back to go another day or two. You know what? See, I actually should have let that go for another day. The bottom is nice looking, but the top could go a little bit more, but that's okay. So we're going to write BS for Brandywine Sudduth all over this one. My next plants are Brandywine Reds, but they take a little bit longer to mature. So as you can see, this one's just starting to blush, and it's pretty ugly and cat-faced. The other ones, not too much going on yet, a little bit of blushing there, but they're definitely behind. Over here, we have my Cherokee Purple, which are typically my first indeterminates of the year. The past 2 years in a row they've been, but they're a little bit behind this year. This entire bed right here, I planted, I believe, 2 weeks after the first bed. So they're taking a little bit longer. I didn't have enough buckets to protect everything, so it's a little behind. I might be able to pull this one off the back. It's starting to split, so although it's not quite ready, I'm going to pull it early. I'll show you what a Cherokee Purple looks like. So this would be a very, very nice tomato, except it just split on me, and I wouldn't be surprised if it split in today's rainstorm, which is really why I like picking these tomatoes a little bit early, or else bad things like that tend to happen to them. So I'm going to write CP for Cherokee Purple all over this, even though it's pretty obvious what it is to me. And I think the ones in the back could use another day or two. We're going to go around to this side, and we're going to harvest that other Cherokee Purple. Hopefully I'll be able to give you a little bit better of a look. This one's about ready. It's starting to split. Here's another Cherokee Purple. It's probably a 12-ounce tomato. That's about what a Cherokee Purple will get you. They're a really nice slicing tomato. They're somewhere in between a slicer and a beefsteak, but they reliably set, I would say, 6 to 12-ounce fruits. And they are my girlfriend Brittany's favorite. At least she claims they are. Here is another one. This is closer to probably a 5 or 6 ounce fruit. So we're going to pull this one off. This one's definitely ready to go. So there's another Cherokee Purple. Add that to the basket. And then this one right here, I wouldn't want to harvest it normally, but it's starting to split on the bottom. So you have to do what you have to do. These have been perfect because of drought, and now we get one rainstorm and they all split on me. That is what happens. You can see the load we're starting to get already. Now we are going to go around to the other side, and we are going to get that one Stump of the World, which I'm really excited to try. I've heard good things about this. The Stump of the World is actually one of the parents to the Rosella Dwarf, the Rosella Purple Dwarf, which I'm a big fan of. That was that's an open pollinated dwarf, and Stump of the World is one of the parent crosses. So here's what this looks like. This one is ready to go. It's pretty nice and uniform, a little bit of cracking up top. So we're going to label that STW. STW for Stump of the World. And then we are going to skip over the steak sandwich hybrid. I already picked 2 tomatoes off of that. One was cat-faced and one was split. So this is the steak sandwich hybrid right here. I just made a video on that about cat-facing, which I'll link to above. And then here is a Brandywine OTV, which you can see right behind here. This is the second one that I'm picking off this plant. The first one was huge. And this is what the Brandywine OTV looks like. It is a nice red heirloom beefsteak. That's probably about 12 to 14 ounces. So we're going to call this one OTV. And I believe that stands for off the vine or on the vine. I think it's off the vine. I've heard good things about this as well. And you'll see our pile continues to grow and grow and grow. And I haven't even hit the third bed yet. Now this third bed are all of my dwarf tomatoes. And although they're small plants, they set pretty nice sized fruits. So here I have a few Rosella Purples that are starting. These are a very delicious early tomato that is a dead ringer for Cherokee Purple. I'm telling you, you wouldn't know the difference in a taste test. You can see how nice they look. If anything, I would say they may set nicer looking fruits than Cherokee Purple. And you'll confuse them in a lineup. And I'm starting to get to the point where I can't even carry this bucket anymore. We'll see if there's anything else over here. There is another Rosella Purple. Oh, no, this is an Adelaide Festival. And I made a taste testing video on that recently, which I'll link to above. This is the Adelaide Festival. It is a beautiful, variegated red with green striped tomato. Got a little bit of cracking from today's rain. But these are a delicious, delicious dwarf, and they're fairly early. I would say they're early to mid-season, but it was the first ripe tomato for me this year. We'll take you around back to see if there's any other tomatoes that are ready to go. And here you can see this is another Rosella Purple. This is one of those mutated tomatoes where two tomatoes became one. It probably set in the cold and it didn't divide properly. So we'll have to skip that one. It's not ready anyway. And in the back here, you can hardly see it. There is an Adelaide Festival right back there. So I'm going to pick that one. And wow, this is big for a dwarf tomato. This is probably a solid 8-ounce fruit. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful variegated tomato. That'll have to sit on the counter for a few days to ripen. Beautiful. And the pile continues to grow. Surprisingly, none of my celebrity determinants are blushing yet. My Chapman heirlooms, although beautiful, are not blushing yet. So we'll have to skip over them. This may be starting to blush. This is, this is a dead tomato. Something ate it. That looks like hornworm damage. I sprayed heavily with BT the other day because I found a number of hornworms. So that's obviously no good. In the woods you go. And I'm not seeing anything else back there. It's like hunting for buried treasure. And then these are the beauty tomatoes. It looks like they are just starting to blush a little bit. So, and another Rosella Purple back here, which I believe needs another day. We'll get that tomorrow. So tomorrow, we will also, most likely tomorrow, maybe the day after, we'll be able to harvest these Brandy Boys pretty soon. Another day or two. We'll be able to harvest these other Brandywine Yellows and these other Cherokee Purples. So hopefully we don't get too many downpours and we don't get any tomatoes that'll split. The last thing that I want to do is I want to take you to the side of the house where my two oldest tomato plants are. I planted two dwarf tomatoes back in October, and I've kept them alive by keeping them in containers, and I simply carried them in on frosty nights, and I brought them back out on nights that, I brought them back out during the day and left them outside on unusually warm nights. And I have some tomatoes on here. I actually just picked a Dwarf Firebird Sweet off of this today, and you can see I have a few back here. The Dwarf Firebird Sweet is a nice red and yellow striped variegated tomato. I'll pick that so you can see it. It's not quite ready, but it's a beautiful tomato. This plant makes 4 to 8 ounce fruits. And then I have yet another Rosella Purple. I've actually been harvesting off this since March, believe it or not. My first tomato was picked off this plant in March. And it was completely tasteless because it's set in the cold, and it ripened in the cold. But now it is setting delicious fruits. And these 9-month-old tomato plants that you see are really beat up are still putting out good quality fruit for me now. And that is the haul. And what a haul it is. This is my first significant tomato harvest. So I'm going to give these a little weigh. And I'm at 10 pounds, 6.20 ounce, about 10 pounds, 6 ounces. We're going to have to deduct a little bit for the colander, but this is easily 10 pounds of tomatoes because that colander does not weigh 6 ounces. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed the harvesting video today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel for future updates and more videos like these and tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again next time.